Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays when I go live on YouTube. Or if you'd like to reach out outside of YouTube, you can consider joining the Facebook group I have created or the Discord. So there are links for them down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to check out the different meals and recipes that I've been enjoying as I've been working towards my weight loss goal. Today is day 1034. I'm getting so close. It's like 60 days. It's really 2 months, 30 and 31. Yeah, today's the end of August. So yes, I have 2 months left on my challenge here. So far, through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose 270 pounds. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you are struggling with your diet, let us know what's causing your struggles. Maybe there's something we can do to help you. If you're succeeding with your diet, let us know what you're doing to succeed. Share that with the rest of us. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you can do or some things that you are doing that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead, switch over here. Hello. It has been a few days since I've seen you guys. I was live Monday, but life's been busy, and so I was not able to get on the last 2 days, so I'm happy to be here today. A couple people checking in. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Pretty Girl's mom. Hope you guys are doing great. It has been, a really busy last couple days. Work had me kind of running stuff more than I usually or than I have been, I guess, and so it just kind of was something where I wasn't able to go live, and then I wanted to get home because I had stuff to do at home when I got there. So I hope everybody has been great the last couple of days. I'm going to try, and I always say that, but I'm going to try to attempt to, I'm hitting my microphone here. So I'm going to try to attempt to eat a little bit on stream today if I get a chance, but I got my big bowl here of potatoes and broccoli. Just a massive bowl here, sizes my face, of potatoes and broccoli. I got some table tasty in there. So I may try to eat this while I'm on stream, but it always proves to be much more difficult to do that. I think it's a good idea, but then it becomes difficult to do while I am trying to talk and communicate with you guys. So we'll see here. Cindy checking in and says, so are we keeping the beard? I don't know. I just don't think about it. I always think, okay, I'm going to shave at the end of the day. And then, I end up just going to bed and I don't end up shaving. So I'm not planning on keeping the beard. I'll probably shave it again. But yes, I have had people asking me about it, and it's just been, I haven't gotten to it, I guess. So who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'll be clean shaved, or maybe it'll be Monday. Who knows? So, but I'm not planning on keeping it. I also, like, the only time I look at my face is right now, and so I haven't really even looked at my face since Monday, since I haven't streamed since Monday. So So yeah, looking at it, I need to do something. I was talking to Carrie about at least cleaning up the neck and maybe at least making it look like it's trimmed, but not planning on keeping it, but it is here for now. So, so what I wanted to talk about today was what I wish I knew when I started eating a plant-based diet. And I would love it if you guys could give me recommendations. I wrote a few things down here, but if there's some things that you wished you knew when you started a plant-based diet, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Also, anybody that's watching this on the replay, leave it down in the comments so anybody that's watching it can check out and see some things that maybe I might have missed. On my list, because I have a very short list, and I know there's a million things that if I had spent a week or a month planning out this stream, that maybe I would have a list larger. But I do have a few things here. Cindy says, "Have you ever had a goatee?" Yes, that was my introduction into a beard. From the time I could grow facial hair until probably at least halfway through college, if not all the way through college, I had a goatee. And so I did have a goatee for a while. But yeah, I don't plan on going back to a goatee. I'm trying to think if I have a bunch of old photos next to me here. I don't think I have any photos of me with a goatee. It's been a long time. It's probably been 15 plus years, but yes, I did it one time. Let's see. So Cindy here says that she wished she would have known about caloric density since she had a lot of weight to lose. Cindy says, "Oh, let's see that." What, an old photo of me? I'm not sure what you mean. Let's see that. But yes, the caloric density, and I am going to go into kind of the food education or the food, what I've learned about food and how to eat and the differences with that. It's kind of really the first biggest thing that I have on my list, I guess, is how drastically different a plant-based diet and then even a whole food plant-based salt, oil, sugar-free diet. Maybe I can shave it to a goatee and then take a photo. But I don't know if I would keep a goatee. My brother's got like the handlebar mustache going right now. So I can't do that because then I would just be copying him. But we'll see. Maybe I could do pork chop, like those chops or whatever. I got to figure out which way to look, and then like a line across here, and then have it like that. Anyways, drastic diet difference. So I came into it a little bit different than most people are, as far as that I was water fasting, but my thought process with the plant-based diet was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to eat more plants. And that's really all I kind of crossed my mind prior to eating this way. But in reality, it's a lot more than just, oh, I'm going to eat a few more plants. I'm going to eat a lot more plants, and I'm going to have to eat more because of the caloric density, like Cindy was talking about. So many times when we go on a diet, our mindset is to eat less food. And that is not the mindset you should have going into eating a whole food plant-based diet. Your mindset should be, I need to eat the same amount of food I was eating as far as volume, or I need to eat more maybe than I was eating, because the goal is not to restrict ourselves, but it is to satisfy our natural need or our natural craving for a larger volume of food, or whatever our individual volume of food is. I need to eat 6-8 pounds of food to be really satisfied. Somebody else might need to eat 5 pounds of food or 3 pounds of food. But in order for me to succeed with my diet, I have to meet that need. That's where all of my diets have failed in the past, is that I need to eat 5 pounds of food, but every diet I've ever been on says you can only have 2 or 3 pounds of food. And for a day, for a week, for a couple months, that might be sustainable, but that's not sustainable for a lifetime. You need to satisfy your natural needs for volume. And once you do that, then you need to look at the density or the calorie count of the food you're eating. I can't eat 6 pounds of food that is 1,000 calories or 1,500 calories per pound, because then I'm eating 6,000 to 10,000 calories in a day. But I can eat 6 pounds of food if it's got 200 pounds or 400 or 500 calorie per pound density, because then I'm only eating 2,000 to 3,000 calories in a day. So it's a change in that mindset that every other diet had in the past. It was that we would eat less food so you can lose weight. And with this diet, you need to eat the food that satisfies. You need to eat a satisfactory amount of food, and then change the calorie density of that food so that you can stay in a caloric deficit. Carrie's here checking in, saying hello. Hello, Carrie. Hope everything's going great at home. Cindy was just telling me I should shave or I should go with the goatee. So we need to get your opinion on me with a goatee. I don't think I ever had a goatee while we were dating. But I did before, so she might have seen some photos of me. But yes, we're just talking about some things that we wished we knew when we started eating a whole food plant-based diet. If you have any suggestions or recommendations or things that you wish you would have known, let us know. Right now, I'm just talking about how much different the diet is, the drastic change in the food. And it's not just that I'm eating more salad. I'm not eating more lettuce. I'm eating such a huge variety and such a different diet than I thought I was eating, but also that it's not a diet in the same way as every other diet has been. I don't have to restrict my, the volume that I'm eating. I just have to change what is at the table that I'm eating from. And so, yes. And that you need to eat more. And if you're getting cravings, if you're feeling hungry, then eat something. Just make sure it's something that has a low calorie density. I don't ever feel guilty about grabbing a banana from the pantry or eating a few oranges. And it might just be what, I need to satisfy myself until I have my next large meal. It's not, I would never feel bad about eating an apple, eating just a plain potato, even just like there's no amount of those foods that I feel is unhealthy. Like I have this big bowl of potato and broccoli in front of me, and you could double, triple, you could multiply this times 10, and it's not an unhealthy bowl of food. It would be difficult to eat that. It might be unhealthy to try to get 10 times this, but if that was your, if you ate from that bowl for the next 4 days, it wouldn't be unhealthy. But a lot of foods that I would have had in the past, or I would have been like, okay, I'm trying to think of what's it's so difficult to think about old diets. Where you would, there's that little innocuous thing you think that isn't going to hurt. But if you multiply eating that thing times 10, that's where the danger is. I don't ever feel any danger in eating the foods that are on my dietary buffet table. I've talked about that in the past, is that we all have, or I like to imagine that we have a buffet table in front of us. We all have our own individual buffets, and those buffets have the foods that you're willing to eat or that are part of your diet on them. And before I started this diet, my buffet had Burger King and McDonald's. It had meat, and it had dairy, and it had eggs, and it had candy, and it had soda, and it had all of that stuff on my buffet table before I started this diet. And then I started this diet, and then I replaced all those things. Instead of the fast food, there's potatoes and there's rice in those spots. Instead of the candy, there's apples and there's oranges in those spots. And so I've not just cleared the buffet table and left a few things to eat. I've cleared the buffet table, and I've also replaced it with good, healthy food that I don't ever feel guilty about eating. So I will eat it as I want, I guess. And then the other point with diet that I mentioned too is that you need to eat more. You're going to lose weight naturally by eating this way. If you make this your natural diet, you're going to naturally lose weight and become the weight of the version of yourself that eats this diet. And that's something that I've had to learn, or I kind of knew going in that before I was eating the diet of a 600-pound person, I was turning myself into a 600-pound person. Every time that I went on a diet to lose weight, I was eating the diet of sorry, there was just something bugging me here. Every time I dieted to lose weight, I was eating the diet of a 100-pound person. And it would help me to lose weight, and I would lose weight incredibly, but it was unsustainable because I never wanted to be a 100-pound person. I wanted to be a 200-pound person or a 220-pound person. So I needed, going in, I knew I needed to find the diet that allowed me to become the 220-pound version of myself instead of being the 500 or eventually 600-pound version of myself that reflected from the diet that I was eating. The next thing I wanted to talk about too, and it kind of has to do with the drastic diet difference, and it's a big thing because it happens every day, multiple times a day, but it's a silly thing to talk about. But there is a satisfaction in eating a large amount of food and then passing that large amount of food and having good bowel movements. Before I started my fast, I would have large bowel movements because I was eating a large amount of junk food, but I was eating a large amount of food. When I fasted for 42 days, I noticed a difference with bowel movements because while you're fasting, you go through an elimination period within the first week. And then after that, your body kind of holds on to things. And so it changes your digestion. It changes your bathroom experience, I guess. And so when I switched back to eating this whole food plant-based diet, I started bringing back that volume of food again. And then I matched the previous volume, and I got these satisfactory bowel movements. And I don't know how better to explain it. I feel like other people who eat this way would maybe chime in and agree, or maybe put something down in the comments. But there's something different about just it's satisfying. And it's also like, because my diet is so clean, it's free of processed foods, it's just potatoes and broccoli and oatmeal and mushrooms and onions and beans and carrots, and it feels like it's cleaning me out. And when, I know it's poop that's in the toilet, but it's the cleanest poop I've ever pooped, I guess, as far as there's, the greasy or the content, like. And so I'm not, I'm not putting junk in and I'm not getting junk out, but I'm getting the satisfaction of knowing that I'm meeting my body's dietary needs. Because when I was fasting and there was nothing in the toilet, it was very unsatisfactory, because I was starving myself. And that's happened to me with diets I've done in the past, where I was eating small amounts of food. You lose that satisfaction of having a large bowel movement. And I believe that there's something ingrained in us that would want to be able to get to have large bowel movements, to be in an environment where we're able to eat enough food to have large bowel movements. And Carrie's, have to delete your comments, said that I did call her in to take a look at least once, because it's surprising. Like, I thought I pooped a lot before, but it has been a surprising amount of poop in the toilet sometimes. And so, and Carrie says, yes, and it's very satisfying. There's no pushing or sitting on the toilet for any amount of time. Yes, it passes very quickly, and it cleans up very easily as far as those things go. And so, yeah, that's just something, I guess, I wish I knew when I started eating a plant-based diet, is that I would have these wildly satisfactory bowel movements, as far as in comparison to any other diet I've done before, and really in comparison to my previous diet, for sure. And so if anybody else has that same experience, I'd love to have somebody back me up other than my wife. But yes, the second topic that I had written down here about what I wish I knew when I start, actually, yeah, maybe this is third if poop is two. So, Janet says, so funny to come here and talk about poop. I love pooping now. There we go. Janet's on team number 2. Yes, it's yeah, I mean, it's just a silly thing that it's a noticeable thing, though. Like, it's a weird thing it's noticeable, but if I do notice it, I feel like it's worth commenting on. The second thing I wish I would have known is that our world is set up for this incredibly easy access to food, where people don't have to, you don't have to put any effort into eating. And unfortunately, this diet requires total effort, and the environment, the world around us, makes it extremely difficult to eat an unprocessed diet. To eat a diet where you are eating whole natural foods that come straight from the ground, it's so difficult, because there's no money in it. The people that make this bowl of food, this huge bowl of food I have here, the potatoes and the broccoli that's in here, the people that make that, there's no money in it because it's not difficult to make. There's nothing proprietary about it. And at the end of the day, if I wanted to grow my own potatoes, I could figure out how to grow my own potatoes. And in our capitalist society, these things, they get treated like commodities. They don't get treated like the important thing that they are. But then in order to succeed in our capitalist society, people have to do things to that potato and to that broccoli and to these foods so that they can add value to it or value to the food, which allows them to gain profit. And so the ingredients that are in this bowl are cheap. And since they're cheap, there's no incentive for the markets to have a variety of them when they can make more money. You know, if the grocery store had the choice, instead of selling me potatoes, they would rather I buy boxes of instant potato, because then they can charge me for the shelf space for the boxes themselves, the container that the boxes get shipped to the store, and the fuel for the, they put a markup on all these things. And it becomes really difficult to find easy food that meets this diet, because they add all this stuff to it. There's, the best option that we have, I mean, and maybe other people can give other options, but the best option that I know that we have from fast food is to go to Wendy's and buy a single baked potato. But I can imagine that a single baked potato from Wendy's is at least $1. I mean, maybe a couple dollars. But I could go and I could buy 5 pounds of potatoes for $3, and so there's an incredible markup on just buying a single potato. But that's the only place that is like a mainstream place that I can think of that has something that's whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free. And so to eat this way, we end up having to go to grocery stores when we travel. If we're staying overnight, we have to bring our own food. And so it's difficult to travel. It's difficult to go to bars or go to restaurants as well. And so, Carrie said she had to check the title of the stream because I was talking about poop so much at the beginning. No, it's just what you walked into. Just stepped into the poop. And so, yes, this diet is difficult because of our environment. Carrie says, we got a new grocery store next to us. And so she's excited. She says, oh, our potatoes are $3.98 for 5 pounds at our new grocery store. So that's less than $1 per pound of potatoes. That's amazing. But because it's $1, it's 5 pounds for $4. The grocery store has no incentive to sell me the potato. They would much rather sell me, pre-cut fries out of their freezer section, or like I said, the instant potatoes and things like that. So, let's see. Shy 2 here says, can you share where you buy beans in bulk? I think we get all of our beans pretty much from Walmart. And we don't buy like bulk amount of beans. The only food that we have a bulk amount of, I would say, is brown rice. And it's probably 10 or 15 pounds of brown rice that we kind of have. And so, Carrie says that's the sale price because of the grand opening. You better go and stock up then, buy it all. But Carrie might be able to kind of chime in and if she has somewhere where she gets the beans other than from Walmart, or if anybody else buys their beans in bulk, where do you buy beans in bulk from? We've done the soaking our beans, and sometimes we buy canned beans, and I try to get the no salt canned beans, but it does become more difficult. Yeah, Carrie says that we just get them from Walmart. And then Janet here says she goes to we don't have any of those around here. I'm guessing it's Azure Standard, and she gets 25-pound bags of beans from there. That is a lot of beans. How much do you get them per pound when you're buying them 25? Oh, it's online. Okay. Well, we might have to check that out with that. But yeah, Carrie says we don't generally buy a lot of beans, so we just get them a pound at a time, or she just orders them when she gets the groceries for us. So yes, the food, our world is so tough. You're hanging out with friends and they want to get food, and it's difficult. And you're traveling and you want to get food, and it's difficult. You're going to weddings, you're going to graduation parties, and it's difficult. So you have to put effort into it. You have to take the time to eat food ahead of time. Check with restaurants to see if you can get food that meets your diet, or if they'll work with you. Bring food with you. Have food in your car. Have food in your purse. Have foods that you're allowing on your buffet around you, because if you don't have them around, when you get hungry, you're going to let other things get set on the buffet table, because you're going to justify it. You're going to find a reason to justify eating that junk food if you don't have some food in your future. If you don't have some plan, if you don't have some escape route, your body is going to go into if I don't eat this now, I'm not going to eat for hours. If I don't eat for hours, then I'm going to be cranky. And if I'm cranky, then people aren't going to be happy with me. And I want people to be happy with me. So I'm going to eat this. You work with your mind, messes with you, and it gets you to do things that you wouldn't normally do if you have a plan, if you're satisfied. And again, it's the one thing that is easier is that because I'm not constantly starving, I can go longer without eating. Because in previous diets, it would be like, okay, I'm going to have a bagel for breakfast, and then I'm going to have, 500 calories for lunch and 500 calories for dinner. And you'd be starving all the time. And so when you got to a position where you were forced to skip lunch, it was much more dire. It was much more like, oh my God, I'm already starving and I'm going to be even more starving. I don't really ever feel like I'm starving. Like I know I've always eaten a large amount of food. I know that the next morning when I go to the toilet, I'm going to have a large bowel movement. If I was starving that whole day previously, I wouldn't have a bowel movement the next day. It's your body would have held on to the food. It's just, yeah. Let's see. Janet here says they drop them at drop sites, and you get bags of oat groats too. Okay, maybe Carrie's done something like that, where they've done something like, I know she's done stuff where like people buy in bulk and then you have to go and pick up the bulk items that they bought. But yeah, we'll have to see if they do anything in the Midwest or if they do anything around here. Shy 2 here says Costco Business Center is about 80 cents per pound. Yes, we were talking about getting that Costco membership. We got to run up there. It's just been a really busy week at work here, like I said. And I usually get a chance to leave work and come back, and I haven't had that opportunity for about a week now. So it's pretty much been, I've been at work and I've been at home. So we got to run up to Costco and check out that membership. Pretty Girl's mom says that Amazon is good for getting the beans, I guess, and then they also get them from a co-op. And Janet says you can get soybeans that are organic for $1.77 per pound. It's $44 for the bag, I assume. And then Allie says Dr. B, Dr. Bulsiewicz from Fiberfield says epic dumps. Yes, you have epic dumps, which is yeah, if you'd have said that 1,035 days ago that I was going to be on here talking about having epic dumps, I would not have believed you. So, but here we are. And so Janet's saying that the oat groats are $1.18 per pound. And everything is organic. So yes, we'll have to check that out because we go through a lot of oat groats, a lot of steel cut oats with our diet, and we've gone through a lot of oats. We had that the Well Your World pizza oatmeal. We had that again the other day, and it was really good. We really like it. I really like it. I think Carrie does too. Really like it with just having like a marinara sauce. We just make a homemade marinara sauce and just kind of do the oatmeal bake and then just put the marinara sauce on top and kind of mix it in. And it's really good. Yeah, the pizza oatmeal bake. And Carrie says that she does like it. Yes. So we did have that for dinner the other day. Janet's saying that the non-organic stuff from the Azure Standard is cheaper and also available as well from their site. Yeah, we'll have to check that out. You know, the nice thing about getting bulk is, you know, you make sure you have that stuff on hand. You know, having the food on hand makes things much easier. There are multiple ingredients that Carrie kind of always makes sure that we have so that we always have a meal that can be made. I feel like if at any point we ever needed to make Spanish rice, you know, it's just a few ingredients and we could make it anytime. Mega veggie chili, you know, sometimes we run out of the bulgur wheat. We can use farro or we can use barley, or, you know, like we change the things up a little bit, but we, for the most part, keep those 5-6 ingredients on hand, and that makes it easier. But just know that this diet requires a lot of effort. Like it requires effort. And I guess what I would say is that it's worth putting your effort into. And so many times in the past, I was splitting up my effort for losing weight between diet and exercise. And diet is so much more important. You should never compromise your diet for exercise, or because you exercised, you know. And that's what I think so many of us do, is we say, oh, well, I went and I ran, or I did this, or I went to the gym and I lifted weights. So it's okay if I deviate from my diet, if I push the limit a little bit. Carrie says there's a drop spot for that place in Davenport, so she's gonna have to check that out. That might be our new bulk shopping location. Diet is king. Diet is key. And it's worth putting your effort into. It's worth focusing on. And it's something that I didn't realize, or I knew it was you are what you eat. I've heard that for years. And it was whatever. You are what you eat. You know, it's you eat junk food, you'll be junk, you know, or you are what you eat. You're eating a pig, so you'll become a pig, or, you know, like, but it's 100% true. Like the cells on my face were made from the potatoes and the broccoli that are on the fork here. You know, like the food that I eat makes the cells in my body, and my body is constantly replacing cells. The skin on my elbow is not the same skin that was on my elbow 10 years ago. It looks the same. It feels the same. Might be a little more wrinkly, or, you know, maybe a little more aged, but it's your body's constantly regenerating. It's renewing itself, and it's using the food that you are eating to renew itself. And when you give it amazing, healthy foods, you're giving it the building blocks it needs, and the best building blocks possible. So it's worth putting the effort into. Focus on your diet. I truly, it's going to pay off. It's going to, in the end, the consistency and the dedication and the consistency will pay off, and the weight will come off. You just have to keep putting the effort into it. And when you have those slip ups, when you have those scenarios where you talk yourself into it's okay because I'm not going to be able to eat for 12 hours. And if I get cranky, people aren't going to be happy. And then you end up, it's okay to have those moments. Just put your effort back into getting back on track, it's worth the effort to stick to the diet, because the consistency will pay off in the end. Barbie here says, sorry I'm late. I'll rewatch you later. No worries, Barbie. We're just talking about some things. I wish I knew when I started eating a plant-based diet. Talked about the changes in the diet, changes in the effort that you have to put into your diet. And we talked a little bit about pooping too. So you'll have that to look forward to. But yes, our world is set up for people to have access to food with no effort. And because the food that they give us access to with no effort is not good for us, that means we have to put in a maximum amount of effort in order to succeed. If we could go to McDonald's and I could order 2 apples and a bowl of potatoes, that would be amazing, but I can't go to McDonald's and order 2 apples and a bowl of potatoes. And so that means I have to go to the grocery store. I have to buy the potatoes. I have to buy a big bag of apples, even though I only wanted 2. Or I guess you can buy apples by the pound. Never mind. You can buy 2 apples. But I have to go to the grocery store. I have to buy the potatoes. I have to cook the potatoes. And that takes effort. And that amount of effort that it takes to cook those potatoes can be enough to get somebody to say, oh, you know what? I'll just go to Burger King and I'll order just large potatoes, or large French fries, because it's so easy. And we have to fight that temptation. We have to fight that urge to do that. And it's worth putting the effort into. The other thing that I wish I would have known when I started this diet. I wish I would have known how successful it was going to be. I went in with optimism. I went in hoping that I would lose weight. And along the way, it's just been amazing. Some of the milestones I hit, how quick I was able to hit those milestones, and then keeping the weight off has also been a huge milestone, or a huge, I'm trying to think of what the word is. Milestone's the best thing I can think of, but it's incredibly successful. And there's examples of people out there. There's a few books people have written about losing weight. There's a lot of diet books, help, to lose weight books. And I looked at all of those stories and all of these things and kind of thought, these are all anecdotal, these are all that person's experience. And you're seeing the successes, how many failures are there. And so there was a little bit of, mystery about how this was going to work out, how this was going to pan out for me in the end. And the end is not, the end isn't coming for another 30 years, but so far, I guess. And yeah, it's been incredible. It's been the easiest diet I've done. Like, that is by far the number one thing that I think is what we look for is easy. It's the pleasure trap. It's the seek pleasure, avoid pain, conserve energy, and that means we want that easy button for things. This diet is easy. It is. It's difficult. Like I said, contradicting myself in my own stream. It's difficult to do as far as the planning, the execution of the diet. But when you get the results and you see the continued results, and you're going to bed satisfied every night, and you're waking up and you're taking a satisfying poop in the morning, and then you're eating a satisfying amount of food throughout the day, and then you're going to bed satisfied with a full stomach, and then you wake up in the morning and you poop a full stomach worth of food out, and you spend the next day eating a satisfying amount of food. You spend your life satisfied with your diet. And if you can remove dietary stress, that makes your life better. You can satisfy your dietary needs while also staying in a caloric deficit or staying at a caloric maintenance if you're at a healthy weight. And you can do it day after day after day. And as long as we keep the junk food off of our buffet table, out of our pantries, out of our mouths, the weight comes off and you get to a healthy weight. And even if the weight doesn't come off, even if I got stuck at 248.8 pounds the rest of my life, if the food that I'm putting in is this clean, then I will never be upset with where I'm at. Because you are what you eat, and I'm putting clean, good food into my body, and it's going to produce a good, clean person. Let's see here. Carrie here says, he's asking if anybody watched the Blue Zone miniseries on Netflix. I have not checked that out. Carrie says it's time consuming, like you have to come home from work. Oh, she's talking about something else. But yes, we'll have to check out the Blue Zone series. I don't think I've seen that. And then Carrie's saying it is time consuming though. Like I have to come home from work and cook every night. but you get used to it and you feel better. So it is worth continuing to do. And it's, we probably make it more difficult than some people because we don't do batch cooking. And if it was the meals Carrie makes every day are essentially batches of meals, but because it's the two of us eating, it doesn't last as long. And so if you're just making these recipes for yourself, you're more likely to have, if you made our mega veggie chili recipe, you'd probably have dinner for 3 or 4 nights. But since we're splitting it, we kind of get enough for the meal that evening and maybe one of us to have lunch the next day, or sometimes we do have, enough for leftovers. But yeah, batch cooking would make things a little bit easier on us. But yeah, it gives us a place to go, we're making it more difficult on ourselves, I guess, with the way we do things. So if we found that this was hard to maintain, we could go towards doing more batch cooking or something like that. And then also what I was going to say, which Carrie also says, is also having the same breakfast and lunch helps. So it's very routine. We just need to make sure we have this many bags of broccoli on hand for the week, this much potato, this much everything available. So having that repetitive breakfast and lunch does help as well. Carrie says that the thing on the videos on YouTube are called How to Live to 100 or something, but it is all about the blue zones. I'm going to take a bite of my food since I'm hungry and it's been sitting here for like an hour. So yes, the thing I have here is about how successful it was going to be. I wish I would have known how successful it was going to be, because, it would have removed a ton of stress from my life, stressing about whether or not it was going to work. And like I said, I hoped it would work. I had confidence that I would be able to stick to a diet, and lose weight by adhering to a diet. And that's what I've been able to do. The other reason why I wish I knew how successful it would be is I feel like I would have been more vocal about it, and I'm getting more vocal about it, but one of the chapters in Pleasure Trap book, it talks about dealing with being in social environments, and it talks about using a strategy called the seems to strategy, where if somebody starts grilling you about your diet, you kind of, it seems to be working for me. You don't bring that confidence in, you don't say, well, I've lost 55 pounds. This diet's the diet that's going to make me lose weight the rest of my life. And when I read that part of the book, just kind of things in that really resonated with me. And I felt like it did cause me to look back at my previous diets, realize all the arrogance I had over the years while I was doing those diets. And it maybe humbled my mentality a little bit. I can remember 10 years ago, I lost 100 plus pounds over the course of 9 months. I was taking a prescription of phentermine that was suppressing my appetite, and I was eating next to nothing every day, and I was losing weight. What I was eating was awful. I had a horrible diet. It was Kit Kats and Pringles and processed meats. And that was pretty much my diet throughout the entire 9 months. And as far as weight loss goes, I lost a ton of weight at the time. And I can remember going to family functions and having people ask me, how'd you lose the weight? And I'd be like, oh, you just got to eat less food, just eat less, that's the problem. It's you're eating too much, But I never mentioned that I was taking an appetite suppressant. I just was, because I knew it was the appetite suppressant that was helping me to lose weight to start. And then I think that I convinced myself at some point that it was me doing it, like, well, these pills, they couldn't really be working as that well anymore. It's got to be me restricting my diet. But as soon as I quit taking the pills, my appetite came back and I went right back to those, all that junk food that I was eating before. And I gained all that weight back, and I ended up being 100 pounds heavier now than I was a decade, or I was 100 pounds heavier when I started this challenge than I was a decade ago. And so I lost a lot of confidence when those diets failed. I had so much confidence in that diet, and then it failed. And then that really killed my confidence. Actually, when I think about it, is that I thought I had it beat. Like, I went on a local television show. I was helping the doctor, spread his program, in our community. And it was, and it failed catastrophically, and it failed very quickly. And so that kind of experience kept me from maybe being confident in this process so far. And, even sitting here thinking about it, I hesitate to say things like eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet is the diet that everyone should be striving to eat. There's nobody that I know of that has a great excuse for not eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. And it's, everybody can try it. Everybody, I believe, could succeed, but it takes a well-planned diet. It takes, you can't just say, all right, Monday I'm doing whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free. It doesn't work that way. I know that you can maybe pull that off and do a keto diet, or do this new carnivore diet that people are doing, or the Atkins diets. You might be able to pull off doing Weight Watchers without doing any pre-planning, any setting yourself up for success. But you cannot succeed on a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet without putting effort into it. And if you're unwilling to put the effort in, then you have to be happy with where you're at then. If you're unwilling to work to improve yourself, then you can't hide behind, you can't, I know it's right on the tip of my tongue. You have to do the work. You can't complain. If you don't do the work, you can't complain. Or if you're not at least willing to try. And I know it's difficult. It's not easy to do this diet, and everybody has different environments that they're in and different scenarios, but striving to eat this way is something that I think anybody can do. And I believe it's the healthiest way to eat. And and that's my experience over the course of 1,034 days, when I'm on diet, when I'm on plan, when I'm compliant, when I'm consistent, when I'm the Chef AJ's, the 7 C's to success. When you're doing all of those things, I lost 270 pounds. That's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm still overweight. I still have 50 pounds to lose. So, Shy 2's asking here, what's the difficult time that you experienced? Did I reference saying that I had a difficult time? Or are you just asking what difficult times I've had? Really the second year was a struggle as far as like large time periods. And it was a difficulty I think the difficulty was getting over the idea that the diet that I was eating to lose weight was the same diet that I'm going to eat the rest of my life. I think that my mindset going into every diet before was I just have to eat this way until I get to a healthy weight, and then I can start eating that junk food again. And what I had to change now is that if I want to be 200 pounds, I have to eat like the 200-pound version of myself eats every day the rest of my life. And at some point between now and the end of my life, I'll become that 200-pound version of myself, because while I was eating before, I was eating like the 600-pound version of myself, and I was well on my way to 600 pounds. And so I know that if I eat the appropriate diet for me, that I can get to my goal weight as long as I continue to eat that. And so I went through a struggle where I was trying different foods. That's something that, I guess it's on my list. It was kind of at the end here. I guess I'm getting to the end of the list, but it was, one of the things I didn't realize was that I would have this shift to this vegan mindset, to not eating animal products. Like I have, in 1,000 days of doing this, I've never had a craving for an animal product or cheese or dairy. I've had cravings for foods, just not animal products. And part of that is that about 3 months in, I realized how well I was doing, how much I was thriving eating a plant-based diet, and how I didn't need animal products to survive. And then I saw lots of examples of people who were doing this far longer than me and succeeding at this way of eating, and they didn't need animal products. And so I cut out animal products, and I've been amazed at how easy that has been. I truly, if you'd have seen my diet before, you wouldn't believe the amount of animal products I used to eat. I would go to fast food restaurants. I would get their cheeseburgers with bacon on it. I'd get their chicken sandwiches with bacon and cheese on it. And I'd get them at the same time. That'd be one meal, and I would do that day after day. I used to eat lots of animal products. And so with that mentality of, the diet I'm eating now might not be the same diet I get when I get to my goal weight. I then kind of was like, well, what if I don't like any of these vegan meats or these vegan foods? And so I kind of had to go through a period where I struggled with that. But I've done much better with it. I don't get that fear of missing out that I think that these food companies really prey on, that we all have this fear of missing out, that we're going to miss something good. That's why Taco Bell comes out with a new burrito every other week, and it's just a new name with the same 5 ingredients, just stacked differently inside the burrito. And so it was an experience I had to work through. Shai, I missed your comment earlier. It says it's difficult to change habits, but it's easy to implement the process. Yes, and that's why I wanted to do this 1,000 days. That's 3 years. I had done I'd done all these diets where I would implement the process, and I would have early success or I'd have short-term success, but I would never change my habits. And this was a habit changing experience. That was my goal, to change my habit. Pretty Girl's mom says finding your why helps. It does. I think having a why, getting started. But some of it, I think, has to become, because your whys are going to change. Your why, like I didn't have my wife and kids 20 years ago, so I never had that as a why, but that was a huge why now. But I also run into is that my why was my wife and kids at 520 pounds, where I was very close to death. Now I have to keep that same why. And I don't want to die, but I don't feel near as close to death as I did 270 pounds ago. But yeah, having that, my why now, and really the why from the beginning was, my why is to live a long life. I think that, I see videos, Dr. Fuhrman talks a lot about longevity, and that's I want to live as long as possible, so that I can experience my family growing up and everything like that. So, let's see. Chai says, last week you really wanted chips. It was difficult to walk away from that area. And I understand. Yeah, it's difficult. I've really been pushing that if you're craving something, it means you're hungry. That's what my mindset is that if you're craving something, it means you're hungry. You're not, your mind is kind of like a child though. Like my kid will come up and say, "Hey dad, I'm hungry." And I'll say, "Hey, there's some bananas over there." And they're like, "I don't want bananas." And it's like, well, you're not that hungry then. Well, your mind's that same way, where it's like, I'm hungry, and your mind says, "Okay, let's have potato chips." And you have to be like, "No, eat carrots, eat an apple, eat some bananas." And then you have to be like, well, I'm not that hungry, but instead of doing that, when your mind says, "Let's eat potato chips," eat some potatoes, eat something, grab some fruit. Like, that's something that I've felt like with my soda cravings, that I would be driving and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm thirsty. Let's go to the gas station and get a soda." And well, actually in my mind, I'd be driving and all of a sudden in my head, the thought, "Let's get a soda," would pop into my head. And I had to retrain myself to realize that, yes, my brain said, "Let's grab a soda," but my brain is saying, "Let's grab a soda," because my body said we're thirsty. And so I need to respond to my body's request of satisfying the thirst and not giving in to my mind's temptation of getting a soda. And I feel like food's that same way. If you're having cravings for foods, eat some food. Just eat food that is on your buffet table. Eat the potatoes or the rice, or eat another serving of dinner, but yes, the saltiness of chips is very tempting. I think that from the start of this, I've talked about my biggest temptation that we have in our house is tortilla chips. Just simple corn tortilla chips that have salt on them. And Carrie says here, you got to keep those potatoes at the ready. Yes, have those pocket potatoes or those purse potatoes ready to go. And so I kind of jumped into the last thing I was going to talk about, was just the vegan mindset, and just surprising, just something that I didn't think would happen. And then now I'm surrounded by people that eat an omnivorous diet, where they're and I get people that start talking about the barbecue they ate last week or the barbecue that they cooked, and they're sitting there with the big grin on their face talking about all of this, oh, it was so great and juicy and amazing and all this. And then, in my head, I'm not listening to any of it because I'm just thinking about the impact it had on those animals and things like that. And so it's funny. It's not funny. It's crazy. And I find myself making purchase decisions based on vegan mindset, things like that. And so that's another thing that surprised me. I try not to be too pushy on the vegan aspect of things, but I also don't mind reminding people that it's not just a hamburger, it's a cow, not just a piece of bacon, it's a pig. And yeah, that's something I think back to those meals I talked about where I would go to a fast food restaurant and I would get the double quarter pounder with cheese meal, and then I would get a McChicken and I get a fillet of fish. And you're looking at, I got chicken and fish and cow, I got dairy on there, just all of the I think about all of the animals that I've taken a bite out of. Like I think about, a cow walking around missing part of its ass because that's the hamburger I had or the steak I had last week. And then another chicken running around missing its arm and a leg because I had some wings, and how many animals are out there that I just ate part of, that I just took a bite of. So, it's so Pretty Girl's mom says that she loves red potatoes with Dijon mustard. That sounds really good. And then, Carrie saying, Janet, send us your link for that the standard, Azure standard. And we can get you a little bit of a kickback for referring us. So yeah, maybe hit Carrie up on that and get her a referral link for that. So yeah, unless anybody else has anything that they want to add as far as things they wish they would have known. Like I said, when I started, this is just a small list of a couple things I wrote down. There is a huge number of things that I've learned over the course of the last 1,000 days. I never knew I'd be eating such a variety of food. I thought I ate a variety of food before. It's nothing compared to the variety of food that I eat now. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that are different, but the big things I talked about today was just the drastic difference in the diet. I thought I was just going to eat a few more plants, and it's not that way. You need to replace everything you used to eat. You need to replace that volume. So you're eating a lot more food, sending you to the toilet a little bit more satisfying. Talked about how difficult it is to be on this diet in this world. It's tough to fight the capitalism. It's really a fight against capitalism, and that's a big part of why it's unaccessible. It's not as the fight is to find food easy. And the easiest food to find is the highest processed food because they can add profit to it. And that's what the fast food restaurants care about, is profit. They don't care about the consumer. And then let's see how successful it would be. The confidence going in, just if I'd have known that I'd be 270 pounds lighter, I hoped I would be there, but I really didn't yeah, I never, I don't know. I feel like I didn't express my confidence enough, or if I would have known that I would be here, that on day 500, I'd have been screaming from the rooftops that everybody needs to be doing this diet. But on day 500, I was still thinking, well, this seems to be working for me. I hope that it continues to work. And so going forward, I'm not going to be that passive person that I was uh, throughout the last 1,000 days. And so, yeah, those are the big things. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I did go a little bit longer than I had been. I guess I hadn't been on for 2 days, so it's much longer than the last 2 days. I kind of talked about the accountability stuff in my last video, and if you want to check that out, or but part of that is going to be that I might be live less than I was. I'm still going to try to go live as you know during the days. Friday live streams are probably going to be less likely unless I don't go live much during the week. But I want you guys to continue checking in with me on my live streams. If you're checking out the video afterwards, leave a comment down below how things are going with your diet. Yeah, work's been super busy this week, and so or it may turn into a different time or a different setup. So, but right now, I'm planning on today's Thursday. I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow. I will not be live tomorrow because I have a thing for my kids' school. So I will see you guys on Monday is the plan. So maybe I'll do Monday and then maybe another day next week. So thank you guys so much. If you have not subscribed to my channel, make sure you get subscribed to the channel. If you've not clicked on the bell icon, click on that bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your well-being. And nobody reaches their goals, looks back, and wishes they would have waited. So get started right now, guys. I will talk to you on the next one. Finally eat my